The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Alright, another random video poking at atheist people. And it's not because we're like...
We hate them.
It's not because we're like pure religion thinking. It's just the religious advocates are too simple to brush off. I think the guy whose video we're about to watch even calls it like low-hanging fruit. And it makes sense. So, we're gonna...
low-hanging fruit.
Somewhat antagonize the guy who antagonizes.
Poke. It's like... Huh?
Alright, this guy's name is Rhino, and he's talking about morals from the veil of ignorance. Veil of ignorance is basically when you separate yourself from the situation and judge the situation as it is without bringing personal bias or any other BS into it. He'll explain in the video, so...
Welcome, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hello and welcome to my channel, Rhino here. Today I've got a short one for you from Living Waters Ministries, and it's about morality. These are always so much fun, although this one is regrettably banana-free. Let's go!
That's just funny.
I do right because of my conscience, okay? So I do not have to fear something to do right. I do right because it's right, okay?
That's right. How do you know it's right?
Music stops. It's like, that's right. How do you know it's right?
First of all, the music, just perfection. And
Youth. College campus.
then the 80s action movie good guy, mustache. The mannerism, all of it is perfection.
Flanders
with an attitude. Alright, let's hear his explanation here.
Veil of Ignorance is actually a pretty good thought experiment which can show you what is right or wrong. It was originally proposed as an idea for
You can show
evaluating
me.
political decisions, but I find it works well for personal morality as well. Here's how it goes. Imagine a moral situation, say stealing. Is stealing right or wrong? Well, let's apply the veil of ignorance. Until the veil is lifted, you have no way of knowing whether you are going to be the thief or the victim. There's a 50-50 chance. Would you choose to allow the theft to happen, knowing that once the veil is lifted, it may be that you are the one being stolen from? It's a nice little way of applying pure self-interest as a way of determining what is right and wrong.
No. That's...
It can show me what's right and what's wrong.
No.
No? Me slapper.
Self-interest doesn't determine right and wrong. As far as... In fact, he's almost defining self-interest as self-preservation. That doesn't say anything about whether you're good or bad. It's just a logical game you play in order to say, what would make my life socially better here? I don't see how goodness applies in this scenario. Using, whatever veil of ignorance. I would think of that as like a little aspect, but it's incomplete. You're basically saying take the self away in order to make a logical decision, which is based on whose fucking logic.
Well, to me, in a way, it's so different than, okay, everybody, there's a train, and there's two tracks. You can go either way. There's two people over here. The homeless people, like, if they're gone, nobody will miss them. And you have scientists and economists over here. Very important. Very, very important to the society where they're from. Now, you have to decide where the train goes. which way do you go?
Yeah,
It's like, what's the logical decision? It's like, what the fuck? What?
I know.
Harvard.
It's assuming everyone thinks in uniform stuff. It's like, no.
It's collateral damage, you know? Yes. Yes.
Simple logic would pick that apart.
Yeah.
You're just doing someone suicidal. Now, if you use the veil of ignorance and you don't know who's going to be the killer and who's going to be the killed, it's like, your moral answer, you don't want to be killed. I'm telling you because that's what logic is. It's,
kill them all.
logic is not arbitrary. It's concrete. It can't be changed like the truth.
How can we know whether something is right or wrong? Where do morals come from?
Self-interest plus empathy equals morality.
Wrong. Morality comes from, I would say, its own being. We call good. I call good. I don't know if most people use the same definition, but I'm pretty sure people use the same definition for truth, which is its own being. It's not dictated by human egos and their arbitrary decisions of what is the truth and what isn't the truth. Right? It's morals is to goodness as honesty is to truth. Right? You can say, "Oh, I didn't do anything. I was just at the store. I was just buying something. You know, I didn't really do anything." That's being honest. The truth is, you need the perspective of the incident itself, all the people there, in fact, the physical matter itself, as in, like, let's say he was at a store and a murder happened right outside. And yeah, let's say like a murder happened right outside the store. He's like, I was just in the store just buying something. I didn't do anything. The truth would be all these scenarios combined together. It's not just one person's perspective.
So originally,
unless they're talking about themselves.
So originally he said, what morality is what?
Morality is self-interest plus empathy. Meaning, what serves yourself best.
Yeah.
You can almost equate to greed in a way, but let's not. Whatever helps you out the best, plus empathy. And then you got to define empathy.
Yeah.
Which would be,
I was going to say, how do you think he came to that?
I think what he did was he's finding what he would call low-hanging fruit, calling it out, and then not expecting a rebuttal. It's like, oh, these religious guys can't answer back because they'll just say, oh, morals came from God. And then I could just easily pick their argument apart. Which is why I guess we do what we do.
Too bad if I said the same thing, I'd be right.
It's like, oh, I need to be called out.
If I said the same thing, I'd be right. But it's like, what's that on paper? He said the same thing. And he's like, it's like, oh, I don't have to know anything about this guy. Shows up to the ring. It's like, oh, fuck. He's like this. No. Ding.
So, yeah.
Metaphor. Not physical. No physical harm.
Yeah. Once again, I keep seeing this as a constant, where they're just completely throwing the self away so they can put it in scientific terms. Like, here's what we can prove. Like, if there's no proof for it, then it's not a real thing.
What's makes it a better decision if...
It's like, wait, you haven't found any truth yet. Not one. As far as a collection of people agreeing that this is this, does not make it the truth at all.
No.
Truth is independent of you. Just like good is independent of morals.
Well, sure.
There's an ultimate moral. Good would be the ultimate moral.
Okay, yeah.
All these other ones are just little steps getting there. Just like honesty is a little speck of truth.
I'd rather have
not the truth.
Someone use decisions based off of their own understanding or knowing of their own self rather than it's the most logical answer. The number's still
that's
up.
the thing. They're trying to expel the self so that they can have
Well, it's just backwards.
a scientific answer for
It's
it.
ass backwards, man.
Some might answer that we as individuals should determine our own morality. But think about it. If there's no objective standard for good, then wouldn't everyone consider themselves to be good, including the child molester and the rapist?
Have you?
First off, I don't see that, no.
Me either.
How would... well, I have to start off by agreeing that I do believe there's an objective morality. It's internal in nature, and once again, I call it good or goodness. So, yes, the serial rapist or the whoever will understand that they're not doing the right thing.
Well,
It's
sure.
simple empathy takes care of that.
As well as like from what I believe it to be something that they're burying, you know.
Possibly, but I still think they understand it's wrong.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, I'm a good person.
One, they're not. They're definitely not probably open about it, you know. That's why they're like, hello. I'm not saying they do that. It's just, I don't believe it's like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's more of like you know, like the one who like basically like bury their own conscience, and whether they're a serial killer, like kind of like directly or indirectly, meaning like setting up a certain scenario in which these things will happen, you know.
Oh yeah.
Or directly like, I'm going to fucking like stab you. It's going to happen.
Also, with the objective morality, it doesn't have to come from some guy in the clouds. It's practical spirituality or magic or whatever you want to call it. It's a practical thing. It's little kid sticks hand in fire, burns her hand, just ouch. It's like, oh, pain exists. So if I pour this fire on someone else, it will probably hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, empathy or morality is there. You don't need it handed down to you. It is you. You're creating it. So, but the good part is independent, I would say.
Ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People? The opening premise of the book is that...
See, that's creepy.
What?
How to win friends and influence people. It's like, son, if you want to go to Harvard, here's your first step. Or a politician.
Oh, wow.
It's Ivy League, and then this book.
At first I thought it was just a cheeky title, but you read the subheading. The first and still the best book of its kind to lead you to success. It's like...
Reminds me of that video of like Tom Cruise, like, yeah, he's so charismatic. See, he puts his hand on you to know he's friendly. But if you give like some kind of like a immediate reaction of negativity, he'll back off. But he'll still smile. So dominant. It's like, oh, what did you read? Fuck, or you just like that? You know.
I have to check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, even the indisputably bad guys of history, think that they are good guys.
How do you know that?
I disagree with that.
Well, like, one, how would you know that too? Yeah, I disagree with that too.
That's, once again, that's not a knowing thing, that's a belief thing, and I believe he's wrong on that.
Even if he did believe it, it's probably based off of like, you know, very, very easily.
What I think he did was he did self-analysis in a way, and environmental analysis, and said, oh, most people believe they're good, so whatever.
Kids know this. When the 4-year-old asked the 8-year-old if she's a good guy or a bad guy, she informed him that everyone will say they're a good guy because everyone thinks they are a good guy.
So they know.
But here we can apply the veil of ignorance once again. A rapist may enjoy raping people, but do you think he would say rape is okay if he didn't know whether, when the veil is lifted, he would be the rapist or the rape victim? Now, this is where I will admit that this isn't a perfect system. There will...
Yeah, it's like... It's like tricking yourself into doing something moral, in a way. Like, well, I don't want to be raped, so I won't rape anyone else.
It's weird.
It's
No.
like, wait a minute. How about I just don't want to rape you?
Yeah, it's like the the loophole to the golden rule in a way. It's like, do others as you want to be done to you, or something like that.
Likely be some people out there who don't view rape as all that bad and wouldn't mind taking their chances, but those people are few and far between. Taken on the whole, this is a very useful device for determining morality without the need of a god to hand it down to you.
It's not effective.
It's very easily broken down. I believe so.
It's a minor piece which would just be replaced by empathy. Simple as that. Empathy, just you don't need to do a veil of ignorance.
This is about as effective as this is as significant as almost in a way like this theory is like just like how movable is this? It's like I just take a broom, it's a couple couple pieces of shit on the ground, like dust, just one little sweep, it's like gone. That's what this is.
James speaks in parables.
Hova.
If morality can mean anything for anyone, then it means nothing for everyone.
Which is why the veil of ignorance is so useful. You generally could rely on a majority of people coming up with the same basic morality with this device, and a system of moral values derived from it would look pretty close to what we have today.
I need help with that.
Huh?
I need help with that.
What the first guy said, I'm guessing the religious guy, said, basically, if everyone had different morals, then morals wouldn't mean anything. None of them would mean anything if all the morals were different. Which I agree with. But they're not different because there's an objective good.
Well, sure.
That's my argument.
I believe so. I believe that too.
Okay.
It's like one guy wants to do the good thing, but he has somewhat weak morals that don't really hold up. Then you have Batman, or a Batman whose morals are literally unbreakable, unmovable. Like if I take
that, but that can happen too with a.
No, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying that's like
guy.
Sure, I'm saying it's anyway. It's like what do you call it? Those doors that keep turning.
I forgot what they're called.
You could just call it a spin door. It's like any possible way you could go. It doesn't really matter who walks in. It's just any way. By choice, obviously. So that unbreakable moral thing is fucking. I have what do you call it? Broom in my hand, shit on the ground. It's like it's not moving. What the fuck? It's like just unbreakable, unmovable.
That would account for, but that could just be discipline, right? You can have someone who likes killing people, and is so strong ideologically behind that you can't move them, like the Joker.
Sure, but at the same time, I'm talking about as an absolute. As far as good.
Yeah, but yes.
Meaning instead of a firewall being put up,
All right. You're saying it can't be broken down.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear the second part of it.
Nothing for everyone.
Which is why the veil of ignorance is so useful. You generally could rely on a majority of people coming up with the same basic morality with this device, and a system of moral values derived from it would look pretty close to what we have today.
You could probably come up with, using this guy's probably hypothetical vision of reality, yeah, you could use the veil of ignorance and people will come up with similar things, but it'd be empty in this hypothetical version of things. In the actual world, in my opinion, people come about the same similar ideas because of that true goodness, that unbreakable thing, just like truth. Right? So, alright.
Others would claim that society determines morality.
Kind of. I mean, society does determine what is generally regarded as morally acceptable and morally taboo, but there are examples of societies where, if we were to place them in the veil of ignorance, almost nobody would agree that those societies would be moral, including the people who live in them.
Within this view, a society such as Nazi Germany could only be quietly observed, not judged nor opposed.
Well, let's apply the veil of ignorance, shall we? When the veil is lifted, you are either Hitler at the height of his power, or a German Jew at the height of Hitler's power. Would you take a chance at getting all the benefits of being Hitler at the risk of being one of the Jews he had thrown in a concentration camp? Using this device, we can clearly see that Nazi Germany is not a morally preferable society and can judge it as such.
That creeps me out a little bit. It's like, would you rather, like, it's too much of a risk. You could be the guy that's in prison. You don't want that. You don't want that. No.
Yeah. He's turning it, like I said, he's
Like,
turning
this
it
is
into
like-
this large assumption of, first of all, human nature
It's a
and
large
what a
assumption
human
of,
being
like,
is.
a larger assumption of the chances of personal gain, which is creepy.
Well, he's just, once again, I think he's assuming, people want to follow their self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that idea arrived from. Maybe, what you call it, evolution, adaptation, shit like that.
Yeah.
Only the strongest survive, so they'll choose whatever self-interest. They'll always choose that because. That's my new thing. Because.
No, it's. Why don't you want to go outside and play, man? 'Cause. Slams the door.
And we can also oppose it should anything like it start rearing its ugly head today.
In fact,
That guy's life is fucked.
Oh.
Go back if you go back and see the white kid with the it's not even a torch. It's like that shit you see at at people who actually have a backyard. It's
Tiki.
also tiki lamp, tiki little fucking, you know what I'm talking about?
Tiki torches.
Yeah, whatever. He's like the
Also oppose it should
Nazi,
anything like it start.
Nazi, look, he's a Nazi. White people, Nazi. And he's the only one really his mouth open. He has that kind of 40s haircut, where it's sides cut low and you got the long top on. It looks like they're all they just stop sprinting.
in fact, if Nazi morals were right within Nazi society, there would have been a moral obligation for all Germans to murder innocent people.
Again, veil of ignorance. You're either doing the killing or being killed. Would you say that is okay, not knowing which one you'll be?
Oh my god! Why is it such a survival thing? It's like
because
you're the one that's killing someone, or you're gonna be killed.
I think it's because science can't explain conscience. Even though he did use the term empathy.
You mean the consciousness?
Yes, the brain. The brain with the brain.
Because
next to brains.
Because.
Obviously, that's not right. When morality is defined by the present society standard, then challenging the standard would be an act of immorality.
Not necessarily. Plenty of things involved in a society are completely amoral. That is, they are neither right nor wrong. They just are. There are plenty of socially acceptable things for which their opposite is also socially acceptable. For instance, I could choose to take my kids to a theme park if I wanted to. That's fine. No problems. I could also choose not to, and that is also fine. Both of these options are socially acceptable. But that's not quite the point you were making, was it? So let's look at an issue like slavery. That was socially acceptable in the 1700s. Does that make it moral? I don't think anyone really thinks so. In fact, there were people opposed to slavery in the 1700s. People didn't think of them as immoral people. At worst, they were considered crazy for thinking that slaves ought to have rights. I mean, look at William Wilberforce, for instance. He lived in a society that accepted slavery as normal. At best, they looked at it as an amoral issue, and at worst, they considered it absolutely moral. Wilberforce opposed it vehemently and was hated by many people, but one thing I have never seen him described as is immoral. So yeah, even if society does dictate what is considered moral and immoral, it can be found to be wrong. But you know what? It's always people who find out that it's wrong. No God has ever stepped down and said, "Hey, please stop behaving this way, it's immoral." You'd think that if a God existed and wanted us to behave in a specific way, that God would tell us in a way that is indisputable.
The atheist is slowly showing himself.
Well,
he's like,
as again, depends it depends on how you define God, first off.
To be fair, I'm not defining it as the fundamental belief. As I believe the fundamentalists do. You know.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest problems with atheists is that they define religions based on the most extreme versions of them. Like, there is no God because
you're basing off
God does this. Look at this book. God does this. This is God. This is God right here. It says I'm God.
Yeah.
And blah 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 blah.
The examples we're using are basically books that people make. Like you're arguing with someone in a way that's taking something that's meant to be taken most likely as a metaphor and or parables. That is also loosely translated. It goes back so long, like so long ago. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's like you're just as bad as them.
Yeah.
It's like, hence a mirror. I just don't. I don't see how that's so hard. I don't. I really don't.
I might leave a quote in the video that says something different about where God is, as opposed to some outside force jumping in saying this is right and this is wrong. It may come from the other direction, or both. In fact, I would say both. But it's religious, so it's wrong. Onward.
And as in not the Bible, which can be used to either condemn or justify such moral atrocities as rape, slavery, murder, and genocide, just to name a few.
Within this worldview, social reformers such as Martin Luther King Jr. or William Wilberforce should be considered moral outcasts because they opposed the status quo.
Society determines morality is a very different statement than the status quo determines morality. And also, as a side note, I find it amusing that you chose to use Wilberforce as an example too. But you see, in my example, it is possible for people to have an impact on their society and change it for the better. How do we determine what is better, you ask? The veil of ignorance, I answer.
No, moral intelligence dictates that.
Jeez.
In fact, they might consider it amoral to use the veil of ignorance in the way you're describing, just completely eliminating
Exactly. It's like
self-choice.
To use this example of like decision making, you could say, is like with the absence of self or the self.
Yeah, it turns into a logical game of survival.
It becomes like a computer. It's like a computer who's deciding. Beep boop bop bop. Would not like this. Beep 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 beep. Feels pain. Ow. No.
Yeah.
Do not kill him. You could be killed as well. When the veil is lifted. Beep bop bop bop. Boop. No, don't do it.
But haven't you heard? You are your brain. You haven't heard that?
You mean my brain?
I still don't get that. Yeah.
No, fuck you. Whatever, man.
Right.
I'm not telling
We
you.
count these people as moral heroes because they had the courage to fight for reform.
Yes, and in a society where most people...
You made up it was funny, and you just don't remember it. Maybe you didn't care. My conscience, yes, it's in here. Your brain. Oh, my brain. My conscience. It's a location. That's where it is.
Okay. Right. I would say that, wouldn't I?
People remained ignorant of the amount of suffering being inflicted on their fellow human beings, they helped bring the suffering to light, and our collective empathy then shifted to allow these reforms to take place. Isn't it wonderful how us blundering humans can find ways to make things better for everyone if given enough time? And we seem to do this all by ourselves without a God ever coming down and saying anything like, hey, maybe don't be jerks to people just because they have more melanin than you, okay?
What is a human being? I'd love for that answer. A full human being. Not just body parts.
It's blah blah percent water, blah 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 percent flesh.
And in those regards, I say be careful if you decide to say it's, you are your brain. Just, alright. And respond if I say something.
Respond? That's basically a what?
If you say something and I respond back, please respond so that...
A debate?
Yes. That's what they call it.
That's forbidden.
These crazy kids call it. Alright.
They stood against their society because their society was wrong according to God's word.
Yeah, their society was wrong according to the Bible. Now go find me the Bible verse that explicitly condemns slavery. Go ahead, I'll wait.
See, that's like, you know, that's where I'm like, at least they can get that. Like, but I don't give them credit. It's like even a little kid that doesn't know shit could be like, well, that's not right.
Yeah, no.
It's like, attaboy. Attaboy.
And you can also find
No Kramer.
You can also find just straight up contradictions, as in they say no slavery, but you know, treat everybody a certain way. Love your
Well, sure,
neighbor,
yeah,
all that
yeah.
shit.
It's very backwards, and the other thing to recognize is what I said earlier, that these are most likely parables that were very loosely translated, and also there's a theory, and I'm calling, you know, it's not fair to call it a theory because it could have happened. Allegedly, sometime in Rome, sometime back then, when they were translating like the Old Testament or something like that, as they were translating it, they purposely, intentionally put like things in there that would be considered to control the populace as far as whoever followed this belief system, you know. So it's very easy to, it's very like, you know, oh, that's not right, but it's in the Bible. What's her name?
Don't do that.
Oh, what's that? You couldn't find any? Well, while you were looking, I found some verses about slavery myself, so let's take a look. Exodus 21:2-6 says, "If you buy a Hebrew slave, he may serve you for no more than 6 years. Set him free in the 7th year, and he will owe you nothing for his freedom. If he was single when he became your slave, then he shall leave single. But if he was married before he became a slave, then his wife must be freed with him."
Now, even this, it's very easy to see how possible it is for these translations.
Oh yeah, like words like single, and if he was single when he became, like, that's like it's almost like a more recent term.
Yeah, I know.
Where they retranslate the
Or even
translation.
freedom. Freedom too.
Yeah,
You know,
that
or
was
even
like
a slave. You know,
that was like some article I was reading about. I guess Paul. I guess that's his name.
the Apostle Paul.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's no word for homosexuality back then.
Yeah.
And
He
even
was just
like
lying with another man.
they didn't understand it or talk about it really.
Yeah. So imagine it's like, yo man, it's really cold in the ground. Yo, my bed's really big, dude. You can sleep right there. It's fine. They're gay. They're gay.
They're sharing the bed.
Killing him.
Yeah.
If his master gave him a wife while he was a slave and they had sons or daughters, then only the man will be free in the 7th year. But his wife and children will still belong to his master.
Even these
But
numbers.
the slave may declare, "I love my master, my wife, and my children. I don't want to
keep
go
going.
free."
It's just,
If he does this,
even the
his
numbers.
master must
6
present
years.
him before God. Then his
Yo, there's
master
some
must
other
take him to
shit.
the door or doorpost and publicly pierce his ear with an awl. After that, the slave will serve his master for life. Well, that's one where people like to argue that slavery was a nice little way of taking care of the poor people in ancient Israel. See how nice it is? You only have to be a slave for 6 years, but should you get married while being a slave, your master can hold your family hostage in order to keep you permanently. So yeah, not quite as bad as American slavery, but definitely not a walk in the park.
It's also taking like these texts as historical. I don't want to call it doctrine, but like evidence of this is what happened back then. It's like there is no way of knowing that, and like holy fuck, like are you kidding me?
What you were saying before with the numbers,
It's crazy, man.
I could see things there, but I would just save that for if anyone asked about it.
Well, sure.
Right now, it'll just Caesar.
Well, yeah. All I'm saying is, I'm not a religious guy.
He's mad religious. Look at him. Atlantis. Come on, man.
He threw up the rock. He's a devil worshiper. It's these translations most likely, or you know, either that or you just really close-minded. You can't really see what's going on here. You know, I'm not saying I agree with that. I definitely
If there
don't.
is, that's the thing. Like, you're not even attempting. In my opinion, it doesn't sound like he's even attempting to look for anything other than just
Something ridiculous
on the surface reading.
Yeah. That's why, like, the cure man of his blindness shit. It's so obvious. Like, yo, that could mean a bunch of different shit. Mainly, it's he's blind. Oh, that means he's physically blind. not like a, what do you call it?
Ignorant.
Yeah. I was gonna go with something more metaphorical, but a veil.
Yeah.
A veil. Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's see what else the Bible has to say on the issue. Leviticus 25:44 through 46 says, "Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly."
Yeah, that all sounds like social blah 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 from ancient times or whatever.
Yeah. And to be fair, I could just say what I said previously again, once again, you know. And let's say by you know, because I don't know, I definitely don't know if that was the actual, like, well, it's a little bit off, but they're kind of, that translation's kind of there. Okay, again, it doesn't fucking matter because it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
This
you
almost-
like this is no like special feat here.
This almost sounds like marketing tools. If you want, like, let's say some really famous person is trying to yelling out, you know, "Fuck Coke, fuck Pepsi." What you do is you have him killed. Then you rewrite it. You know, make it look like a suicide. You write his last note for him. But I was gonna sign that contract with Coke, but you know, I'm too depressed. I gotta go.
Listen, would you like to work for the FBI? We could use a person like you.
Like, here's this ultimate good guy named Jesus. What we'll do is we'll kill him. Then we'll just add all this other shit in with his writings and all his teachings and shit. And we'll call it...
He said I spoke in parables. Come on now. Now I'm saying he said that. Now, he could be a person or he could be a character. Or he could be someone, basically a character, someone who's based off of someone else.
I think he's a character, yeah.
Most likely, maybe.
I think he's like,
I don't know.
I think he's like Batman or
Probably.
Superman or some shit.
All I'm saying is, to take that shit literal is very, like, in a way, irresponsible, ignorant, and kind of backwards, the whole idea. Like, if it was real, the character was real, or if the guy, you know, etc., shows up, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. It's like, in fact, he'd probably argue that, like, why do you care if I'm real or not? Look at the fucking lessons, man.
That seems to be at least as bad as American slavery was, and it also seems to be racially based. Oh, both those were Old Testament. I'm sure Jesus turned the tides on the slavery thing when he came preaching his gospel of love. So let's go to the New Testament for some verses on slavery.
I don't like
Let's
this
see. 1 Timothy
sarcastic.
chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. All who are under the yoke of slavery should consider their masters worthy of full respect, so that God's name and our teaching may not be slandered. Those who have believing masters should not show them disrespect just because they are fellow believers. Instead, they should serve them even better because their masters are dear to them as fellow believers and are devoted to the welfare of their slaves.
Jesus said all that?
Timothy. I don't know.
I don't think he did. I think Timothy said that, right?
All right. How it works is it's like
Alright.
Timothy's like a book.
Nah, yeah, it's the gospel according to a guy, right? I mean, they even say that, right?
I've been out of the loop for a long time.
The word of God according to some guy.
Been out of the loop for a long time.
The point is, like, as far as religious...
Like, I'm pretty sure Genesis wasn't a dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
As far as biblical people and characters and stuff,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I don't think I haven't read, like, any of their shit. Unless Jesus has some sort of quote in there. He's the only character I actually attract to.
Okay.
That's about it. Everything else I'm not like some fucking expert on.
You don't have to be.
But this I'm awfully sure is not Jesus.
It wouldn't make sense if you asked backwards, and if it was, it's like you're
In fact, this was wrote after he died. Right?
Sure, but like I would say so. It's in a way it's like this. If I already established, let's say I created fucking Batman. I established what Batman's about. There's these rules that go within it, or that these rules that are presented to us, that is a direct result of his morals, of his internal, of his self, which is fucking. It's not going anywhere. You can't break it, and it's unbreakable. At least from what they stem from, as far as I'm not going to kill anybody.
And his personal rules and principles.
Yeah, unless he decides to better them as far as, well, what do you want to do with good, right? Okay, maybe there's a better way to do that. But nonetheless, it's like if you fucking say years later, yeah, we're gonna have Batman do this. He wouldn't do that though, and that's not Batman. What are you doing? Batman doesn't shoot people with a gun.
I see where you're going with that, but this isn't even.
No, I'm saying
quote of Jesus.
I'm saying if he was, if he was, do you say that?
I think this religion was thrown on Jesus, and this is his religion.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So that's why he's accrediting anything said in the New Testament as Jesus.
Oh, I'm just making a point.
Jesusness.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's silly and it's ignorant.
Well, that seems to say that it's okay for Christians to keep slaves and that their slaves should be happy about it, or at least complacent. And these are only 3 verses, all of them explicitly permitting slavery, both Old and New Testament. So what was that about their society being wrong according to God's word?
The Rock's pet. God, that was...
C.S. Lewis wisely said, a man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. Without God, morals are meaningless.
Why?
He has to define God, and I'm sure he's defining God as the biblical character, which means he's wrong. It's that simple.
Well, to be fair, if you have a biblical character and you're reading it in such a way where you may take it literally, and it wasn't meant to, then I again, even what you just said would have to be. I understand what you mean, but if you're down on paper, then no, you'd be wrong. I know what you're saying, though.
Hey, how would I be wrong?
You're saying if he's taken as the biblical character of God, then he'd be wrong. Well, maybe the character himself is supposed to be the internal voice. And it's loosely translated, etc.
All right.
But I know he I don't know. I have an idea what this dude's doing, and it's just like...
Well,
you
actually,
got anything else for me, dude?
I understand how Jesus defines God, but I don't understand the rest of the book. And I'm assuming the last guy we saw is defining it based on the whole book.
I'll have to look into it as well, just to say that it is. But at the same time, I understand that it's been translated from a specific language, which I don't remember which one, but I have an idea what it might be. Nonetheless, it's, from what I understand, like scholars have like a very hard time deciphering like letters and numbers and etc. So it's like, how are we to know?
Yeah.
How are we to know what that means? It's like, I'm not saying this is, but slave could mean like fucking 5 different things for all I fucking know. Best guess. It's like, come on, man.
That's why I go with the Jesus guy only, because he seems the only one that puts out a deciphering code for what he's saying.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I've often heard that asserted, but I've never really seen it explained. It's always this, without some omnipotent guy saying what is right and what is wrong, then right and wrong don't matter at all.
True. But this omnipotent guy is you, or gal, or whoever. You're that omnipotent voice that's screaming, this is right and this is wrong.
Well, that's
when
why
I feel bad for doing something, it's not some outside force saying, feel bad.
No, it's
fucking, what's his name? The Star Wars dude?
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, with the lighting. Like, yeah.
No, it's you will die.
Right.
What's that? You didn't take communion.
That's
There
not
is
for
no
you.
way. There's no cherry picking going on here. You know, it's like
Well, I don't mind cherry picking now.
I meant as far as kind of enclosing yourself in a box and like, yeah, I'm gonna use these in my argument. Yeah, but you're leaving out so much shit. It's not just him. It's like even a fundamentalist was to make their argument about whatever they, their set of beliefs, which is very, don't hold up probably. No, they wouldn't. As far as if they use that system.
Yeah.
Like, God, He's out there. Good. What? And He judges everything for us. He? And then, I get the definition of what God is. I'm like, okay, now I can... Or I might agree with them.
Alright.
Like I've shown how we can determine right and wrong based entirely on self-interest using the veil of ignorance and our empathy that comes from us being a social species.
What the fuck was that? First of all, I disagree. You didn't show us anything. What was that?
He's saying empathy is a result of being a social being. He showed monkeys or something.
I thought I showed monkeys, like...
Yeah, sure, chimps being chimps.
Wrestling.
Yeah, you didn't really explain empathy. You just said it's a causation from us being social.
Anybody? Empathy is a direct result of this equation. X is right here. Add 3 and you get empathy. Anybody? It's part of my equation.
Yeah.
How exactly is that meaningless?
I might have missed what he
When
said.
man makes the rules,
Just kidding,
either
just joking.
individually or by majority rule, there will always be mistakes because mankind isn't perfect.
Yeah, I'll grant you that, but us not being perfect does not automatically mean that the universe owes us some perfect moral law.
No, we owe ourselves. We are the universe. Like it's not humans and then the universe. It's the universe.
The universe.
That too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah,
Maybe that's too much for now.
we are the universe. So
We are the world.
So
We are the children.
So it is the universe bestowing objective morality. It is, because we're doing it with our faculties. Fuck it.
God alone is perfect, holy, and good. He exists outside
That's
the
fucking
realm
wrong.
of mankind as the
No one is good but God. Depends on how you define God. You probably define God as some guy out there somewhere.
Some eternal being.
From out there.
Yeah, that makes judgments upon us.
Yeah.
He exists outside of the realm
Yeah, it says it right there.
of mankind as the source of objective morals and standards.
Yeah, that's wrong. In fact, Jesus disagrees with you. I'll add that little quote in there. Alright.
source of objective moral standards.
What is the mechanism for that, I wonder? How do his supposedly perfect
Is the
morals make
mechanism
their way
for that?
into people?
What is the mechanism for that?
Why does that have to be a mechanism? Can't it just be there?
Turbulence.
That I'll save for if any rebuttals for our argument, because otherwise, yeah, what's the point?
Certainly it's not from that morally abhorrent book that people attribute to him, as that book condones things that are very clearly against both your morals and mine. I've heard it said that God's morals are written on every person's heart, but then how do you explain different moralities in different societies and at different times?
In order to learn yourself, in order to experience things, in order to create something from your life experience.
Or at least unveil what's already created.
I don't want to be born whole Jordan already. I want the journey of discovering Jordan, and pass it on to others.
You're going to hell.
In order to understand something.
You are going to hell.
Yeah, why?
Sinner. I'm just kidding.
Why spoil the roller coaster ride?
Imagine.
It's like, all right, it's over. Step out.
It's like when Jesus was born, and he's like, he was already. He's like, damn, I have to wait till I'm 30 for people to treat me with some respect. I was reading how he calls his mom woman. I'm like, damn, I would have got hit with a wooden spoon. If I said, it's like,
yeah, I've heard it. If he was like around today, like, where's your credentials? What university did you go to? Where's your diploma?
I got some sandals.
Where's your PhD? Alright.
He's like, man, it's like, he walks out. It's like, man, I love this. What do you call it? It's called a fade. I love it. Wow. Oh.
Don't catch his fades.
You want to edge up? Spark plugs?
And even if God is the source of morality somehow, how does that make it objective? The way I see it, that simply makes it subjective with God as the subject. When God does something, is that something automatically good because God did it? Or is it God's opinion that it is good? I think we can see with the veil of ignorance that God's actions are not automatically good. Look at the flood. You've got a 1 in 25 million chance that when the veil is lifted, you are God. 25 million being the approximate number of people alive in 2000 BCE when the flood supposedly happened and God killed all those people, mass genocide. So using the veil of ignorance, we can clearly see that at least some of God's actions are immoral, such as the flood.
You're the one that said veil of ignorance as his high moral standard equation you can just input content into and output a moral. So I don't see why the other guy should be defending that. Like, wait a minute. What?
No, it's like I said, though. Like, you're using, like, prototypical, like, examples of, see, this is ridiculous. Yeah, if you look at it in such a specific way. And you gotta remember, it's translated in such where it's, Yeah. Like, come on. Like, if Jay-Z talks about shooting people, and, he never killed anybody. I guess you're not reading it right. I don't know what to say. Like, there's a quote, and you can put it in here. There's a quote from him. Fucking critics reading his shit.
Well, he has a song called Ignorant Shit.
Well, yeah, there's that, then there's Renegade.
So is a thing moral because it's God's opinion? Well, then morality is just God's opinion, and since God is the most powerful being in the universe, we lowly humans have to obey. In other words, might makes right. So if morality is truly objective, then it's beyond God. If God's morality is the morality we need to follow, then there's no reason I can see beyond it being God saying, because I said so, and he's just the most powerful, so you gotta do what he says.
So the next time someone claims to be good without God, remember, that's just no good.
Next time someone claims that objective morality is impossible without God, just ask them if God is subject to those objective moral laws. Not as catchy, I'll grant you, but it's a good question to which I have never seen an adequate answer.
Because you only argue with theists. I don't
believe in moral absolutes. Is there right and absolutely wrong?
Yes.
Depends on the situation.
So how can you say I do that which is right?
Veil of ignorance.
Satanism.
Moral intelligence.
Got the Rock.
Mr. Rhino.
Well, that's it for today. Remember to follow me on Twitter and support me on Patreon. Oh, also, it made me feel a little bit dirty, but I created a Facebook page too. It's called Vice Rhino. You can follow me there if you want to. Not sure if I'm going to keep it up or not. We'll see. See you next time.
Let's put this out there. no. That's his...
That's what's up. He gets donations.
I thought he was going to put up like a site or that says donate here.
Oh, okay.
I left it there. Let's see if he does. Thank you, random people. There you go. Hit his Patreon up because. Yes.
So, truth is your definition of God? How do you define truth?
What is truth? Is truth unchanging law? We both have truths. Are mine the same as yours?
I define truth as that which comports with reality. How do we know what comports with reality? By testing it.
Define reality. That's all. Just define reality.
If I drop a ball 999 times and that ball falls to the floor every time, I can be reasonably certain that the ball will fall to the floor on the 1,000th drop.
If he's going to say that, like, if he's going to compare this with the truth, which is an absolute based off of fucking statistics and or probability, then it's not the same thing. You can't round up. Well, it's 99.99% probability, which means we can round up and it's true. Like, no, I'm not saying he said that, but no.
You started with you can reasonably assume that.
Well, sure. I'm saying if he's gonna go there,
let's find out if he does.
All right.
As well. So it can be said to be true that a ball dropped will fall to the floor, of course with the caveats that the ball was dropped in a room on the Earth and that it doesn't have any external forces working on it to force it to drop in a different direction. And under normal circumstances in a room on the Earth, if you drop a ball, it will fall to the floor.
You literally, you shape-shifted reality in order to fit your one parameter of this ball will fall.
So that's not reality then. let me just... This is reality. Let me just change it and... Okay, now it's reality. Do what I want.
This keyboard, if I drop it, it will fall and hit the ground. As long as I... And that's a guarantee. As long as I eliminate the rest of reality.
And then, ready? And
then become reality because I eliminate reality.
Ready? Imagine if you include everything he said, and then a meteor hits Earth. Boom.
No, you have to exclude that.
Ah.
Exclude external forces. Which means you exclude reality.
And the cookie cut all day long. Alright.
The fact that the theory of gravity holds true does not necessarily mean that there is a God making it true. It's just...
A theory is not truth.
Yeah.
Theory, probability.
I think that's why they call it theories.
Come on, man. Alright, keep going.
It's the way the world works, and it would be true even if there were no mind to perceive it and declare it to be true. Of course, with the caveats that the ball was dropped in a room on the Earth and that it doesn't have any external forces working on it to force it to drop in a different direction. And under normal circumstances in a room on the Earth, if you drop a ball, it will fall to the floor. The fact that the theory of gravity holds true does not necessarily mean that there is a God making it true. It's just the way the world works, and it would be true even if there were no mind to perceive it and declare it to be true.